Ladies and gentlemen, you're very much welcome to Transformers Hub. What we do at Transformers Hub is definitely transforming lives endlessly, limitlessly, boundlessly. Boundlessly, I mean we can actually go overboard, even beyond the district, the community, the location where you are, the vicinity, the neighborhood, even the country. I mean, everything we do in life, we probably are limited because of our strategic location. Transformers Hub is not limited in any way, and that is why we come with you and we take you on a journey where we allocate particular things that might be attractive to the human eye, to the human ear, or to generally the public. You might not necessarily be a parent, you might not necessarily be a teacher, you might not necessarily be a CEO, you might not necessarily be an employer or employee, but there is a way in which you would pick up particular topics, we'll run with them, and they will help you in one way or another. You might be able to actually also pass on the same knowledge you actually get from Transformers Hub platforms, and then pass on this knowledge to other people as well. So in your face, my name is Lady of Ladies, Lady Bizzle, and I'm thrilled to be with Transformers Hub, specialist and a man who's been there and done that, a man who's invested in knowing what society is all about and what we need to change and what we need to transform. And what we are transforming today is an honor to actually have Mr. Cheyune with me. Mr. Cheyune, hope you're doing well.
I'm okay.
Nice. Today we are talking about the fact that the holiday is literally done, and what we have before us is, amazing parents and children getting ready to go back to school. The thing is, what shouldn't you do, or what should you do as you prepare your daughter, your son, your niece, your nephew, the person who calls you guardian? How are you preparing them? What are you going to be doing? What should you be avoiding? All that and so much more is packaged together in today's segment. And of course, I'd like you to actually invite, like, subscribe, and tell every other person about this show. Trust me, it will change your life and the lives of so many other people out there, whether they are parents or not. So Mr. Cheyune, it's an honor to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I must also salute all the listeners, all the followers of Transformers Hub. We are dedicated to transforming lives, and we shall always throw in episodes every Friday. And throughout this season, we are into parenting. We have come to realize that almost the holiday is done. And when you look at sensitive classes like the candid classes, they are this very week and next week they will be reporting back to school for the very last sensitive term.
And candid classes are primary 7 for Ugandans, primary 7, that is local curriculum, UNEB curriculum, primary 7, senior 4, senior 6.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Those are the very sensitive classes. And in a spell of a week still too from now, even the other classes will have resumed.
Yeah.
But we have come to realize that parents are quickly adopting a statement that may not make a lot of meaning. We have to drop children back to school. So all that is on their table, the stress on their table is dropping children. In any case, it is a stranger who is dropped. Someone you just find on the way, give me a lift, and maybe in the next junction, drop me there. But when it comes to the child, guardians out there, parents, it is beyond dropping. Now, as Transformers Hub, this is where we come in and we feel a word or two should be added in. What is expected of a child, rather of a parent, as you take back the child to school? We are using the word taking back because we feel it should purely be the duty of the parent, not any other person, in taking back the child to school as opposed to dropping. So, one, we believe parents out there, check the suitcases of the children yourselves.
Wow.
Very, very unfortunate that many kids pack whatever they want, including stolen items from home, and just take them to school. Parents don't take trouble to check these items, only to be embarrassed as the school managers are busy, either the wardens, the matrons are checking the students, only to find unauthorized material. And what is very painful, as we are checking, let us be very sensitive. These children are brighter than us.
Too much.
By the way, I always tell parents that when you find you have a child and you're still brighter than the child in all angles, then your child is a loss. And that is a statement that people rarely understand or quickly digest.
If your child is smarter than you are,
No, if you're smarter than your child on almost all fronts.
If I am smarter than my children,
oh yes.
I'm a failure?
No. Then the children have a problem.
Oh, the children have a problem.
Because each generation is meant to challenge another generation. Right now, your parents cannot still remain brighter than you on almost all
I'm brighter than them.
Definitely, that is how it should be. So that throws one other insight, that parents, our children, on several issues are brighter than us. Yes, we could be the parents and we feel, yes, we have the mantle, but they are sharp in certain things. So when you're checking the suitcase, even what they call eats, you may find a lot sneaked in there. There is, nowadays, there is even a new mechanism, what they call cookies. As they are baking or preparing these cookies, they are prepared with a lot of drugs in, cocaine mixed. And for you may think these are just cookies bought or biscuits, but what is inside, one of the ingredients in there is something funny. So you find on the school compound, the kid is just taking their biscuits, you may not mind, but after a bite or two, the child is already charged.
They are high.
So we need to be very careful. Of recent, they got a child with a box of mineral water. But what is funny, the child ensured that each bottle, half of it was warrage, then the other half was water. So break time, lunchtime, you see the child is very busy sipping his water, but indirectly there is some volume of warrage.
This is so sad.
So we need to be extremely careful. There are those children that will get their black books and in the middle of the pages, they seal in the fonts there. So for you may quickly think this is just an ordinary black book and these are just packed books.
So you're
inside,
they've actually put stuff
they
in there.
have put fonts in there. So parents, let us take trouble. Sometimes they even carry unnecessary clothes. Let us take trouble as responsible parents. Let us check their suitcases thoroughly. Actually, after the child has packed, you say, fine, bring your suitcase before you push it in the car. You will find a child carrying totally unnecessary material.
Let me first ask you a question.
Oh yes.
You're talking to parents who are taking their kids to schools that don't accept phones.
Oh yes.
But there are schools that actually accept phones, Mr. Cheyu.
No, if the school allows phones, that is okay. That is a school policy.
If a school allows phones and me as a parent am not comfortable,
no, feel
should
free.
I
No.
still let him go with the phone?
Of course, we know the dangers of phones to that age ongoing age-going bracket. There are many. And therefore, and it's unfortunate, in Uganda here, we have very few schools that have officially allowed use of phones. In any case, I think we don't have any school yet. If phones allowed, perhaps that is in international schools.
But it's not international schools, but there are some traditional schools that actually allow mobile smartphones, and these kids are allowed to actually use those phones that is over the weekend. So Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, they can actually be on phone and they're just talking to you. Hi, your mommy, how are you doing? Hi, uncle, how you doing? So you, as somebody who actually knows and has mastered the art of children and their brain and what they can actually achieve, would you agree with the school that actually accepts whether international or not?
Well, depending on how these phones are managed.
Okay.
But the research shows that the moment you allow the child to possess a phone, that means you will definitely spare them time to use those phones. And there is no way a child, because the phone does much more. It will just not be research. You'll find at the end of the day, they may even need to make unnecessary calls. And parents at times think all the calls made will basically be to them. They forget that these kids have even other friends they call, and their so-called friends, there is a big question mark in there. So we need to be very careful. We love the phones, true, but let us agree that when the child goes back to school, at least for that time, let them concentrate on purely academics.
So the schools that are actually encouraging children to have smartphones or mobile phones, I think at a particular point we need to be realistic. I cannot be concentrating on the phone and then paying attention to the
you can't
books.
achieve the two.
There will be there'll be a gap that you probably...
The academic gap and the concentration will definitely be lost.
Yeah, true.
So we shall, in fact, at one point, spare time and educate parents about the dangers of mobile phones. Because we are taking it to be so fancy, trendy, and every parent is struggling to ensure that their children have phones, but I think we are making the children enjoy a faster ride to hell. Maybe
also let's put ourselves in the shoes of a parent who's not in the country, and all she does is probably put the kids on a bus, and they come from wherever they're coming from, maybe Rwanda, maybe Tanzania, maybe wherever, and then they drop them because the school term has started. And the only way they can communicate to their children and get to know what they're going through is by having mobile phones.
No, but you can always use the teachers on ground that are trusted,
Wow.
so that every time you want to communicate to the child, you have to rather go through the teacher. Otherwise, you call a child who at that particular time is in class, and just your phone call can affect the concentration of the child for almost a week.
Yeah, true.
So we shall later spare time and maybe discuss it at
I think we should, yes.
The question of phones is equally.
It could be parents who are
contagious.
pushing the schools
Oh, yes.
to accept the mobile phones in the classes.
So the other thing is we have also talked about checking what the children shop. Because many times parents don't have time and they'll just say, write your shopping list, and the child writes whatever they feel they need. After all, at times they're even very rest assured there is demand on ground. But I think it's not a question of you allowing the child write whatever she would love. Yes, you can give them that freedom, but then look critically at whatever they have written.
Wow.
Because it is also good training. You need to see, is the child aware of what they need? But you will still find the child is prioritizing things that are not very academic. Quencher, bread, that has been given attention. But books and pens, the child is not even bothered. Or a geometry set, things that we think are scholastic and for that matter are very essential. So even then, when you provide the money, I think you should account, the child should be able to account for what you provided. But then you go an extra mile. You say you want this. Can I look at this? Can I look at this? Can I look at this? So that whatever they plan to buy is exactly what has been bought. You'll eventually find she deceived you that she needed a geometry set. But in reality, she bought headphones. And there is no way one can buy headphones when they don't have a phone. Or the child instead bought something very, very irrelevant. So let us go an extra mile. I advise parents out there, when it comes to these eats, do it yourself. Children are sharper than us. I've already told you the so-called biscuits and the cookies and so many other funny bites are now mixed with so many other ugly ingredients. Let us be on the watch out if possible. Do it yourself.
But also, I feel like as parents, if we are at the point or at the level of shopping for our children, especially if they're at a particular age, I think we have failed as parents. Because I have seen young boys and young girls enter the supermarket, any supermarket in town. One of them that I really know is really popular and famous for back to school shopping is Senana, both in Chikubo and then up at, Watoto or Buganda Road. But I know that very many times you'll find like 4 or 5 of them in clusters, unattended to by a parent, but they actually they have list and they are ticking and they are buying. Mr. Cheyne, I feel like we need to let these kids be and they go do their own shopping. As a parent, I let you do your own shopping, and then I explain to you why I let you do your own shopping is because I want to see your capacity of thinking of the things that you feel like you want.
And your ability to go out.
So that I can, at that point, that's when I address the situation of like, I don't want to come and do the shopping, but don't force me to do the shopping. I'm giving you the liberty to do the shopping for yourself because I want you to learn responsibility on what you need and what you don't need. Because I know there are children who go and buy a video game and they're like, so this video game, where is it going? Hey, all over the weekends, people come with video games. And like, but you see on our list, there's nothing like a video game. But you let them do their own shopping because you're preparing them to be independent.
And to be more responsible.
To be more responsible as well, yes.
That is now when the principle of delegation comes in.
Thank you.
That as you're having the hands off, have the eyes on.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you're not practically moving with them to the supermarket, but then even when they bring this home, cause the accountability. Call for exactly what they asked for, whether it is what was bought. And at times, parents, this is also a trick. Not that whatever a child asks for should be provided. Otherwise, they will have a different understanding of life. That whatever we want should just be asked and immediately it falls. I think even God has never given us that kind of soft training.
No way.
That you just sit back, God, I want this, and all of a sudden it falls from heaven, it comes. Sometimes use a delay tactic to train children to be patient and at times to to live within the available means. She has made a budget of 50,000. I say, fine, but that is, I have 30. Because I even have your other sister or brother to really take care of. So look at your list and pick out the priorities.
Essentials.
The essentials that can fit within the 30,000. Not because you don't have the 50, but there is another trait you're training this child.
Thank you.
Can they work within the available means? Then even as you're going to school, you can surprise them that, oh yes, you had listed this. Okay, fine. Let's pass by and pick it. But when it was coming to shopping, you were testing their ability on their list to pick out what is more pressing. And that is also part of the training parents out there. Then the other thing that is very important, parents, let us take children to school ourselves. We so much want to delegate. Sometimes we actually, when schools reopen, you will see bodas flooding all over the roads and the streets, carrying children with their luggage. But let us not trust these bodas 100%.
And even if we do, Mr. Cherine, it's your responsibility
Yes,
as a
the
parent.
child feels catered for.
Yes.
The child feels loved.
Yes.
When she moves with the dad or the mom, and the mom is doing the clearance and following up from one desk to another, as opposed to just dropping them at the gate. You go and do the clearance. By the way,
let me also give an example. I don't do boarding. We do day because we're still really young. I don't believe in boarding being primary. So, and I know I have my own fears and my own reservations. So, and my own insecurities. That's why I don't believe in boarding primary. But those who do, I salute you all the way. But me being a parent who's old school, I believe in, day school. But I know that even in day school, I used to actually, I never delegated because I wanted to be a hands-on parent. I've always wanted to be a hands-on parent. I want to take my kids to school. I want to wake them up. I want to prepare breakfast for them. I want to make sure their shoes are clean, their socks are clean. Even taking them to school, my job needs me to be there at 5:30 a.m. But I'll make sure that by 6,
you're ready there.
Before 6, I'm already at the school, and the teachers will go like, "But nah, this woman. Can't you actually delegate somebody?" I'm like, I don't delegate when it comes to my children. So I know for a fact there are those parents who cannot delegate and they have to go there by themselves. And there are not those who can delegate and the job will still be done. But how do you trust a boda man?
The parents have this challenge. You find 5 young babies are all seated on the boda, and all they grow seeing is a boda taking them to school. As the bell goes to end the lesson, the boda guy is already there waiting for them. So at the end of the day, at times boda riders take advantage. Either the child reports to school late, the child was supposed to be inside the school at 2, the child finally gets in school at 7. And school managers are in trouble. They can't chase the child back. That is how most of these young girls are becoming pregnant, and at the end of the day, the pregnancy cannot be accounted for. Never trust a girl child with any male. Because ladies, you're very unfortunate. Think we are born lucky. Every man looks at a female in totally one direction. So be careful, parents out there. Let us guard our girl child jealously. Take trouble. And when you get to school, it's not a question of, yes, they told us to take kids ourselves and therefore I've brought the child to school and then me, I'm going back. No, take trouble to talk to the teachers and some of the stakeholders, the matrons. That is when you'll find out the other side of the child. By the way, what is very true, we have all been to school.
Yes.
Children will always have a different face while in school as opposed to the reflection they cause at home.
At home, they're totally different.
Because I always challenge parents that even if God visited us, and me knowing that God has come, trust me, we shall all get down to our knees because we are before God. And before the children will always look at the parent as their God. And before the parent, they'll totally paint a different picture.
Totally.
But while at school, that is when you get to know, oh, you mean my child can do this? They tell your child did this and you cannot also
believe it.
So parents, when you take your child back, take trouble to interact with some of these class teachers. Find out the other side of your child.
Don't just run away.
Don't just run away. It's not a question of you. That day you're taking back the child to school, even if it means reporting to your workplace that today I'll come back late, I'm taking my child back to school. Let it be understood. Bosses out there, the moment it comes to reporting, taking back children to school, I think this should be common knowledge that someone should not be penalized because I had to drop out for 2-3 hours to take the child back to school.
And it doesn't matter whether you are a boss who has children or not yet.
Yes,
you still have to actually have that empathetic nature in you.
Because
it's called emotional intelligence.
Yes. Parenting. Otherwise, I've seen parents, they are just rushing. They don't even want to clear. Just please have a word with the matron. Someone says, I just don't have that time. But when will you ever
I'll do it
know
on phone. I'll send a WhatsApp message.
Because I've always challenged parents. How do you keep back and you don't even have the contact of the matron, the contact of the warden? Sometimes parents tell you, I have the contact of the head teacher, but I think it's just not enough. There is that other matron who keeps with the child almost all the time. And the matron maybe knows something, and because you've never interacted with them, you don't know the other ugly side of your daughter. It goes beyond paying fees. Then at times, children report back in the holidays, and you find when you look at their report, they are challenged somewhere. It could either be math, physics, or chemistry, especially those sciences. When you report back for like this remaining term, have you taken trouble to find out the teachers in charge of those particular subjects? And maybe you draw out a given arrangement to have this child supported or helped in a special way. Otherwise, sometimes you sit back and you just blame, or you sit back and just wait for the report. Parents, it's beyond paying school fees. The whole issue of educating the child, it is a journey. We fight to the last minute.
Wow.
You walk with the child through the hops and jumps. You don't just say, I paid my fees and therefore what I want. By the way, I always tell people that even if I was to prepare food, it's not a question of putting the saucepan with water and fire. I must keep checking on the food being prepared at every other stage if I must eventually serve food that is well prepared. So the same thing applies in here. Parents, let's just not rush. Let us mingle with the teachers and we get to know where they have challenges. Challenges may not be academic.
No.
By the way, you may find other bigger challenges that maybe your child does not want to wake up. Maybe your child reports late. Maybe your child is very disrespectful.
Naturally lazy.
Or naturally dirty. There is a girl, we moved back to school and the matrons were giving a very nasty report.
That's so
that
sad.
was on the
Oh.
element of hygiene.
And it comes from home.
And because here we are basically in transforming lives, guidance and counseling, I was supposed to follow the girl up to their home. And the mother told me, get into her bedroom and see exactly what I'm talking about. It was so bad.
Pathetic.
But I realized the mother had not played the cards right.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, we expect matrons to do much more, but I think it all begins from
the
home.
matrons start from where you left off as a
Charity
parent.
begins from home.
Exactly. Some children, actually, I wanted to chip in and say, some children are disrespectful. And then for you, you're probably talking about disrespectful based on the way they are treating you. But you see, that is the way their parents have taught them to disrespect, because their parents probably also disrespect, and that is how they pick up the trait of disrespecting other elders. Because even at home, they disrespect and they've seen their parents. Because my friends always tell me, monkey see, monkey do.
Oh, yes.
So when monkey sees, when your child sees, they will do. They might not do it in your presence, but because they know you disrespect uncle so and so, when they get to school, they disrespect uncle so and so's children, because they know even daddy and mommy disrespect uncle. So why should we respect his children? So it's a vicious cycle, because you are teaching them and they are copying from the best teacher, daddy and mommy.
By the way, parents, one needs to understand that children behave, actually their behavior, 70% is a reflection of what is at home.
Yes, I agree totally.
Discuss that in depth, but when we look at how children conduct themselves at school, it is just a perfect reflection of what is exactly at home. Then the other thing is we need to check on the dress code. Now here they say when we talk of dress code, let us begin with the children we are taking back to school. You find, actually many parents have been embarrassed. You go with the child and you must be told, take your child to trim off. When we talk of dress code, it begins right from the hair to the last nail.
Yes.
You find the child has very funny painted nails, but the parent has carried the child to school. And then you begin wondering, where should I begin from? Should I begin by teaching the child, or I should straight away begin with the mother? How do you go with the child whose nails are painted and they're reporting back to school?
How?
The child has a very funny haircut. I have seen children bounced to go back and trim. Let me tell you, parents out there, every time the child is bounced to go back and trim, they are indirectly pointing at you, the parent, that how could you be this irresponsible?
And they want you to face it and suffer the consequences.
Yes, they are indirectly embarrassing you that you have not played your card right.
Totally.
You very well knew it was not by accident. You knew the exact reporting date. Why don't you take the child to the salon? And you find the parents are without shame. I told that girl, I told that boy to trim off, and that is the haircut he came. And I told him he has refused.
Unacceptable.
Now, when the parent cannot be respected by the child, How do you expect that child to ever respect the teachers?
No way. They
So
will
we have
never.
challenges. There are challenges in the teaching profession. But I think parents, let us really get into parenting. So that is why Transformers Hub comes in seldomly to throw in a word or two so that we can transform this generation into the best one can ever desire.
Wow.
Then the dress code is not about haircut. We are even looking at the respect of uniform. I have been in schools and you feel like shedding tears. Students are not tucking it. A girl child is not tucking. The blouse is hanging. The boy is having his shirts hanging and is comfortably moving with the parent. They have reported to be cleared.
So sad.
You feel pain. You feel like shedding tears. That is a parent who appears to be responsible, has reported with the child, who is not even tucking in. Now, do you later expect the teachers to fight with your child to dress properly? By the way, every time parents, teachers are fighting your children to dress properly, they are preparing them for future. Otherwise, I tell children that even if you're to choose to be a fuel pump attendant, you'll put on uniform and it will be respected. Any other corporate world we are preparing our children for has a uniform. Even at Transformers Hub, we have a uniform.
Yes, we do.
And we respect it.
Yes, we
Go
do.
to the banks. I've seen bankers put on uniform, and trust me, you can't violate it.
Even
You
the
have to
lawyers,
respect it.
even the lawyers
have their dress
even when
code.
they're still in school,
Oh, yes.
at university level, they also equally have a dress code. They might not tell you that we're wearing the same color or the same shade of blazer, but they still is something that signifies who you are and where you're from.
Oh, yes.
And there's an amount of respect attached to particular dress codes. The way you dress is the way you are dressed in a particular office.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Actually, the guiding principle is you'll be addressed by the way you dress.
The way you dress.
The moment you come in a funny shape, you have already defined who you are. And when we fight, sometimes parents don't take it in good faith, but we are just helping your children. Otherwise, always be thankful when you find there is a teacher who follows up your child. Will you ever follow their children?
Never.
You know, that is the most painful thing.
But they're doing this for you.
The teacher is taking trouble to follow up your child. But ask yourself, you the parent listening out there, will you ever follow up the children of that particular teacher? So we should appreciate those who are helping our children become better human beings.
Being an MC of so many weddings and graduation parties, now what you just said has opened up my eyes to the fact that in most cases, when it gets to the speeches on weddings, especially on weddings, on graduation it's obvious. You might have your head teacher there, your former senior warden in school there. But on weddings, I've realized, Mr. Cheyune, there are grooms and brides who actually accord a speech of maybe 5 minutes or less to their former school warden, to their former school head teacher, to their former headmistress.
That they make them what they are.
They are the reasons why they are the men or the women that they are
Oh, yes.
today.
And I always tell people that every time you're with a girl child or a boy child, in whatever grooming and training you may have, know one thing at the back of your mind. You're training someone else's husband, someone else's wife, or someone else's father. So we need to be extremely careful as we are dealing with these parents, rather children. We are helping groom future husbands, future fathers,
we are.
future mothers, and wives.
Wow.
Then when we shift slightly away from the dress code of the children, the parents attend you've embarrassed yourselves.
Or whoever you send, your younger sisters, your younger brothers.
These are the little brothers and sisters or cousins you send around, and you find you can't discuss anything sensible with them.
Nothing.
You find the way the parent is dressed is just an embarrassment. Parents, a school is not a marketplace. A school is not a beach. This is a grooming zone.
It is not a disco or a club.
Not a club. Whenever you have it in mind that I must go to a school, a parent, you have already joined up the teachers to paint an emulatable picture to the children. By the way, not only to your child, but in that school setting, there are other children. So for them, they'll know this is how parents are supposed to be. Other children in that school are looking at you. Perhaps they are admiring you out there. So every time you're entering a school, have it in mind. It goes beyond your own child. There are other children. There are other parents in that very school. They are all looking at you.
Wow.
Why would you choose the shortest skirt? Some parents, actually, there is a kindergarten I visited, a male parent dropped the child in shorts.
Oh no.
In shorts.
That's embarrassing.
I think we have so much copied the Western culture.
But it's not acceptable
But,
here.
but I think
it will never be acceptable here.
We are Africans and we have our values.
Thank
and
you.
it's upon those values that we have also been respected and we are unique in our own way.
Yes.
Let us respect educational institutions. That when you're taking your child, feel that you're also dressed like a parent.
Wow.
And that we also receive you in the sense of a parent. If you must ever send this young sister or young brother, caution them to exactly represent you because they are representing you. But at times they come in a very funny dressed style with the funny haircuts, funny hairstyles, and they're in a school setting. By the way, at times they're not even given respect because of that. But let us check ourselves. Then the other thing is get contacts. We have already talked about contacts. Yes, even when I'm in a hurry, can I have the contact of the matron? Can I have the contact of the class teacher? So that I can later follow up. After a week, 2, 3, how is my boy doing? And so and so. The guardian of James, how is James behaving in class? Now, every time James gets to know that class teacher talks to dad, James will live a very cautious life in school.
And I'm also thinking the more contacts you have, even from different levels, like James might probably be in senior 5, but then you have a contact of a senior 2 teacher, senior 3, senior 4, so that even when a particular teacher, Madame Martha or Madame Melissa is not there, you have some a fallback position. You have you have another teacher you can actually call up and then ask them, well, apparently James, I know that I have kids, and so many times when the headmaster is not picking, the headmistress is not picking, the bursar is not picking, I have class teachers I call, even from their former classes. I'll call the P1 teacher, I'll call the P2 teacher, the P3 will go like, oh, there's teacher Agnes, she's actually still in school right now. I have found happiness and joy in having all those numbers. I never regret having more than enough
you know
numbers.
what happens? I have seen how children behave, even when they get to know that my mother has nobody's contact here.
No!
There is they imagine they're in their own world. And at times, by the way, they even give wrong contacts.
Yes.
You ask the child is perhaps has committed an offense. You ask the contact of the mother. The child gives you totally different contact which does not even exist, or if it exists, it's just of a friend. So parents, I think we need to be very, very serious on this matter. The moment your child is in school but is very much aware that dad can call warden anytime, dad can call deputy anytime, dad will check out my conduct through the matron, the child will remain disciplined. As opposed to a child who is very rest assured, you'll never trace him from any corner. They'll live a very reckless life. And those are the children that have proved to be very indisciplined because they know the mother perhaps is in Kenya. Nobody here is bothered. So they will behave the way they want. Then the other thing is about requirements. Many parents, of course, complain the requirements, the lists are endless, we buy this and the other. But before I go into school requirements, which may perhaps be around brooms, toilet papers, rims, those common ones, I'm looking at the requirements of a child. And I want to zero still to the girl child.
Wow.
Many parents, especially the male parents, have this weakness. You know, we are discussing it bearing in mind that not all families are blessed with mom and dad. And all the children are coming from families of their biological parents. There are those who are purely being taken care of by guardians, as you say. But you realize there are parents who will never mind about even essentials to the girl child, like the sanitary towels. And you find the child is lacking even the basics. Soap. Oh, parents, there is that age, especially an A-level student, who will need even a deodorant. If it is soap, they may need bathing soap, which is, different from washing soap. I am not saying later to buy the most expensive. I would imagine Geisha is affordable.
Very affordable.
And cheap enough that 3 pieces perhaps would take the child throughout the term.
If you can afford to take them to a particular school, then you can afford the soap that will actually keep them.
But I've seen why children eventually resort to stealing. And it's very embarrassing when it's the girl child stealing. The girl has only been given ½ kilo of sugar. And the parent is not even bothered about the station days. So 2 weeks down the term, this girl child does not even have sugar. She does not even have pads, as we have already said. And eventually she will be caught stealing from the neighbor's suitcase. You will then call your child stole, and it becomes now double
Very
embarrassing.
embarrassing.
So let us take trouble. There are these other basics. Yes, I know you have paid the fees, met all the other school requirements, but take trouble. They are essentials, especially boys. I'm not looking there, not because they don't have requirements that they need. They also need, but I think it is more embarrassing and more pressing when it comes to the girl child. Like I finished all my A-level, I think. I'd never even understood the meaning of bathing soap and washing soap.
You just use any that came your way.
Whatever is available.
You wouldn't really pay attention.
I just wouldn't even mind. It was not.
I think that's the nature of a guy.
University that I began, maybe for the sake of creating some standard. Otherwise, if the moment I realized no one is watching, what I've used to wash my shirts will as well clean my body. And trust me, I would feel no harm. But to the girl child, there is some bit of sensitivity. At one point, she'll need a deodorant. She'll need a small spray. I'm not saying buy the most expensive, but we have to agree a girl child is different from a boy child.
A girl child is a bit more sensitive, and more delicate than a boy child.
So we need to know how to handle and how to balance the two genders.
Wow.
Then the other thing is the element of counseling. Parents, whenever you bring your child back to school, before you set off from home, or let's say time culture and you eventually get yourselves in school, never leave the child without a word of counsel. I have seen parents who even sit down and have a word of prayer, and I love it so much. You find the parent is praying and blessing the child.
Very much.
Have a blessed time. May God protect you. May God grant you wisdom. And I say, oh yes, this is now parenting. There are those who don't even have a little one. There should be that other word, that every time the child remembers that word, even if the child was planning to escape, but when the child remembers the other word you cautioned them, then he's restrained and has reasons to get back to their senses. But what I've seen some parents instead cause quarrels. You see where I get fees, I suffer to get your fees. If you spoil, if you don't perform well, never quickly show the child that he is the reason you're suffering.
Oh wow.
Because I've ever had a child quarreling with a parent, and the child eventually saying, I am tired of your fees.
Oh,
I'm going to look for my own fees. Maybe that girl did not finish university because the mother was training she was operating a restaurant. She was suffering to get the fees, but even the little she would get, she would accompany it with 1,000 words. So when the girl got to university, she said, no, I think I'm tired of this. I can forge my way out. And of course, she was reasoning it out myopically. Eventually, she got a boyfriend. Second year, she was already pregnant, and she has never finished the course.
Very sad.
I doubt whether she will ever finish it.
And that energy came off the parents.
But I realized, because they later called me in, I realized it was all coming from, there's so many ugly statements the mother was accompanying the fees or any payment or anything bought. Should always remind the child how she has gotten that out of sweat and pain. So the child grew up knowing she was the reason the mother was suffering.
I think that used to work on us in our generation, where mommy would sit us down as well, because my mom literally raised us up, 6 of us by herself. It worked on us because daddy had money, then it went, then mommy's the one with the money. So she tried to say, things change. Today I might be the one with the money, then following day, daddy will come back and still come back and have the money, not me. So I feel like right now that worked on us. If you're a parent in this in the 21st century, it might not work because the kids are becoming softer and softer. So the way we treat them and the way we handle them, even the parent, the school teachers, the way they handle your children is not the way we were handled when we were in school. They are handling them in a much more softer way.
The teachers we had during our days cannot handle this generation.
They cannot.
Because at one point we could not tell whether we feared or respected teachers.
Thank you so much.
Actually, even if I met my former teacher, I think I would tremble a bit. I would quickly tremble a bit
You
because
freak
our
out.
grooming was different. But we are now having a more fragile and sensitive
Thank
generation.
you. Yes.
We equally need to be very sensitive.
Thank you.
Otherwise, your paid fees, I thank you so much, Dad. But there's so many words you're accompanying. Maybe it should be, I have paid fees. Me, I have done my part. So I have brought you to school. You also do your part.
Make me proud.
Make me proud.
God,
All I
make me
want
proud.
is a good report.
Thank you.
Once you have a good report, I have no problem with you.
That's
And
enough.
when a child makes, even if it is a slight improvement, appreciate it. Otherwise, there are parents who all the time, every time you come to school, a quarrel is already expected. And you find a child is told, Dad has come. The child escapes and hides. You look for the child, the whole
Even the teachers can hide him.
And
because they know you are chaotic parents.
Parents, we need to be very careful.
Thank you.
Their children who are studying, but they have never appreciated the efforts and the sweat their parents go
That
through.
is so unacceptable.
Just because of how you treat them. Otherwise, I tell my boys, pray God gives that money for fees. So I always see in their prayers, they have crammed, I think among all other things they pray for that to get fees. So I finally tell them, yeah, God provided us fees, so here it is. And I tell them one word, I have paid the fees. Do your part.
Do your part.
So when I find on the report, math is okay, English is okay, I'll appreciate that. And I say, here you're being challenged. Put in a lot of efforts. Now, if I'm to ever put extra pressure, I go through the teacher. Put pressure on that guy.
He can.
Yes. Put pressure.
He can. She can.
So that we balance it, because by the way, sometimes parents, you want to show a lot of authority and embarrass the children before the community, before the school. But remember, blood is thicker than water. The other one is your child. You're doing all the possible things either to impress the teachers or the school managers, but the other one remains your child. You have a bigger bond with that child more than any other person in that school.
Don't run away.
Handle in a sensitive way.
Amazing.
Handle in a very sensitive way, because that will remain your child. So when it comes to the issue of counseling, sit with the child, have that little statement or two that a child will always reflect on, and they will have a reason to concentrate, but it should not come in form of an abuse. At least by the time you're walking out, the child should really feel, oh, my dad loves me. This happens even when you have not gotten enough requirements. This I've brought you to school, I've managed to pay this and the other, but in the next 2 weeks, I'll bring this and the other that you asked for. Okay? Be patient, pray for me in the next 2-3 weeks. So the child remains with hope.
I always tell people, when you hear somebody passionately talking about something, it's because they've actually realized how passionate they are and how disturbed they are when they see vices in that particular area. The passion, Mr. Cheney, that you use when talking to parents, when talking about teachers, when talking about children, it shows that you have an inner person and you definitely want to see things different. You want to see things change. And whatever troubles you, that is what you're called to actually solve. So Mr. Cheney here is a problem solver. At Transformers Hub, we are problem solvers. We're helping you the parent, we're helping you the guardian, we're helping you the teacher, we're helping you the child, the student going, the university going, the primary, the high schooler, the vocational institute going, that there are things that we want to see change in your life because we are preparing you for the future. And if you have no one preparing you for the future, many a times you'll have an imbalanced life. When you have an imbalanced life, you probably will not perform to the best of your knowledge, to the best of your ability, because you had no one to train you. You had no one to beat you up and tell you, this is the right road, this is the wrong road. Take the turn where you got the wrong turn from and take the right turn. I know we'd love to talk over and over and over again about this, and I know there are things that we can actually talk about that you can give us feedback about, but I'd like to appreciate you who's been watching us from the time we started till now. Mr. Cheney, it's been an honor. Thank you so very much. You have spoken to me. Before you even spoke to all the other people who are watching, you spoke to me as a parent. And I'd like to say, I'm glad I was right here, firsthand, getting this information. And I will not disappoint you as a parent. I will never disappoint you. And I pray that you who's watching, whether you're a child, you're a guardian, or you probably are just a caregiver, or you are a headmaster or headmistress, that you equally not disappoint. We are Transformers Hub, limitlessly, boundlessly transforming lives. every now and again. And in case you want to reach out to us, all you got to do is go onto YouTube, get all our details from there, and trust me, we'll come in handy anytime you need Transformers Hub, anywhere you probably are. You might not necessarily be a school, you might be an organization, you might be a tertiary institution, you might be a financial institution. Wherever you are, whoever you are, you definitely want to see transformation in whatever you do. And if that's what you're looking for, we at Transformers Hub, we got you sorted. We'll be right back next time. Keep watching. And of course, make sure you leave a comment, subscribe to our notification bell, and make sure you like, and of course, invite other people to watch as well. Thank you so much.